Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Sunday Stories. This is Yuti Doshi from Man Mantra Mental Health, and I'm really happy to be having Sneha and Monali with us today from the Psychology Nook. Hi, Sneha. Hi, Monali.
Hi.
So, a little bit about them. Sneha has completed her master's in clinical psychology, as well as Monali. She has also completed her master's in clinical psychology, and both of them have completed their postgraduate diploma in counseling from Maharashtra Mental Health Institute and Sassoon Hospital. Right?
Yep.
Yes.
That's right.
So I think the Psychology Nook has also is a baby of both of you, and this journey has started from Sassoon Hospital itself. Right?
Yes, very much.
Yes.
Yes. So please tell us about your journey and more about yourself.
Yeah. So like Yuti introduced me, I am Sneha, and I am the founder of the Psychology Nook. And so me and Monali have known each other for a good 3.5, 4 years now almost. We were doing an internship together before we joined Sassoon General Hospital for our course. So basically, I think because of this whole entire COVID corona situation, there was a lot of restlessness going on, and that's the same thing that happened with us. It affected us really badly because we were in a climate where we were working a lot, and then all of a sudden there was absolutely nothing to do. So yeah, so that's how this started. It was a very late night sort of random conversation thing. I think let's write about a few things regarding psychology, and then from writing articles it sort of snowballed into a lot of things, and now here we are doing this video. So yeah, and in general, so personally, why I decided that I wanted to be a part of this is because I feel like mental health, or in general psychology, it's so misunderstood in nature, and we really need to, as professionals, we have to take up that responsibility and improve the situation a little bit. It's not just about mental health, but about psychology. If you understand how things work, why we do things that we do,
Right.
it becomes much more easier for solutions also.
Right.
So that's my opinion.
Thank you
Yeah,
so
so
much,
I'm Monali.
Monali.
Yeah, I'm Monali. I'm co-founder of Psychology Nook. And as Sneha said, Psychology Nook was just almost out of nowhere. But I'm really glad that we've reached here. And the main reason for me to get into this is I have always felt that psychology is a subject that every person, regardless of what they do in their lives, should know a little bit about it so that they understand themselves better and better their lives in general. So this is just an attempt to, give out those little tiny little things that we can use on our everyday basis and everyday lives to help ourselves and the people around us. So yeah.
Wow, great. I'm really glad that I met both of you, and you guys are doing wonderful job.
Thank
Same.
you.
Thank you.
Okay, so coming to our topic, I just want to tell my viewers that majority of you guys must have seen my posts about teenagers, mental health, and self-esteem. And today also is a topic very close to my heart, and that is self-esteem, of course, and how we can help people boost self-esteem. Because I feel self-esteem is this center around which our mental health revolves, almost, right? So I really want to let's move ahead, and I want to know from you what exactly self-esteem is.
Yeah. So when we talk about self-esteem, we will go into the elements of self-esteem, right? So first of all, there's a cognitive element. So this is basically asking yourself, what kind of a person am I, right? You're characterizing the parts of yourself. You're using descriptive terms. So this could be in terms of whether you're a powerful person, whether you're a confident person, and so on and so forth. So all the adjectives that we use, right? And then secondly, there is an affective element. Okay. So this is basically,
sorry to cut you, but
yeah.
affective is affect means mood.
Yeah. So related to mood, but not exactly. In this case, we're talking about the degree, right? Or the balance. basically the intensity. So is it more positive in nature? Is it more negative in nature? You know, these kinds of binary terms that we use. Okay. So that is where we, even the word high and low, when we talk about high self-esteem, low self-esteem, we have to talk about that also. This comes into that affective component.
Okay.
So these are the, yeah, so these are the degrees that are attached to those adjectives that we were talking about in the cognitive component.
Okay.
So yeah, so
And along
can
with that,
I,
yeah.
sorry, can I just paraphrase this, like rephrase this, what you said?
yeah,
So, the adjective that I give to myself right now is I am confident,
hmm.
for example. That is my adjective. And affect is how much confidence, high confidence.
Exactly.
Okay, great.
Exactly. And
there is
also how
another
that
element.
affects yourself.
Yeah, exactly. And then there is another element over here to add. It's quite related to that affect aspect of it, is the one which is an evaluative element. It is the attribution that we have, like the level of worthiness to some ideal standard that is held in general in society for ourselves. So the standard by which one judges themselves
Okay.
eventually has a profound effect on the way one thinks, the way one feels or desires or sets themselves some set of sort of a goal. So
Okay.
it is, and this judgment is not exactly verbal. Like we don't judge ourselves very consciously. It's just a feeling that we get, and hence it's a little difficult to identify and separate this feeling. And but it reflects, and all these elements that Sneha mentioned and that I mentioned, the evaluative element, it all brings together to form self-esteem.
Right.
You know,
So,
yeah,
to give an example of what you said, just let me know if I'm correct.
yeah,
Sometimes we do something and we feel, oh God, that was so stupid. That that fraction of second, that feeling,
yeah,
that's what you're talking about.
yeah. It's
And
like, yeah, like I mean, am I worthy enough to deserve that? Something on those lines.
right. So these
That's supposed to happen. Things like that. Yeah.
right.
Mm.
So these small little statements that we tell ourselves, which we are not
Huh.
even conscious of,
Yeah,
Exactly.
they together make up something in our mind about ourselves,
Yeah.
absolutely.
which is
Again, it
self-esteem.
right, because it bottles down to what you are thinking about yourself. This is
Right.
your perception on yourself. Right.
Right. So, just a small comment. It is
Yeah.
so beautiful that we ourselves can either build ourselves or we can just bash ourselves. I mean,
Exactly.
it's something, a realization of power that we have, I think,
Yeah. Yeah.
that
Yeah.
we give to
How
ourselves.
Yeah.
exactly how you speak to yourself is very, very important. Of
Very
course, how you speak to other people is important, but I think it starts with yourself.
True, true.
So what you said is absolutely correct.
So, I want to also know what are the factors that make up self esteem? As you said, affective, or these are the different elements which make us understand what self esteem is exactly. So, what are the different things when we put together makes up self esteem?
Okay, so to actually put it together in a particular dimension, there is a two-factor approach to define self-esteem, and those aspects are the competence and the worthiness, as I mentioned. It is, so to put it in one sentence, it is the conviction that one is competent to live and is worthy of living. So I'll explain the competence part of it. It is based on the part of, in part, on degree to which an individual is capable of initiating an action and carrying out. So basically, how capable am I to actually take up something, like for example, a course, and how capable I am of completing that course is how we define the competence part of it. It involves things like motivation or self-efficacy and other cognitive styles in which we might think about our abilities.
Okay.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And
So,
in contrast, when we talk about the worthiness part of it, since it is the two-factor theory, when we talk about worthiness or even just worth, we're talking more about a feeling rather than a behavior. It is more of like an evaluation. Like when we go back to the elements, it's again like an evaluation. It's not an outcome, right? And it's very subjective in nature also, that we have to realize that worth is something, anything, the value of anything is very subjective in nature. So when we talk about concepts like this is right, this is wrong, who is there like a proper rule book that says that this is right or wrong? This is something that we have defined, that, or we have given that value to it, that this has that degree of righteousness, this has that degree of, you know, being incorrect, so on and so forth, or even healthy and unhealthy. Of course, when we talk about empirical evidence, that's when the unhealthy healthy part, I mean, it becomes very concrete. But in general, in like daily language, when we say, oh, this is very healthy behavior or this is very unhealthy to do, we don't really base it off of any evidence. We're just saying what we feel, what our subjective perspective is. So
Right.
that's where, yeah, worthiness comes into it.
So there are two things which are very important. One is competence, how competent I feel about myself.
Yeah.
To translate it, uh, मेरी खुद की कीमत, not कीमत, but मेरी खुद की काबिलियत.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Right.
And when I talk of worthiness, it is मेरी खुद की कीमत.
Yes.
Right. Right.
So it is your काबिलियत and your own कीमत,
Yeah.
competence and worthiness that makes up self-esteem.
Yes. Absolutely.
Okay. This makes it so much clear. And, you know, like for people who are watching this, I'm sure it now, I mean, for me at least, it has made it very clear, and I understand what exactly self esteem means. And next time I devalue myself, I'll remember that, oh, hello, no, I am worth something
Yeah.
more, something like that.
Exactly.
So thank you
Exactly.
so much for
Yes.
breaking this down. Really, it helps a lot. Um, there are so many things, questions coming to my mind. The next thing I really want to ask you is, um, when a person's self-esteem is high or low,
Yeah. Yeah.
how do we come to know that? How does it show up? Like, I mean, if you see me, you can't make out, right? I'm sitting here. You don't know whether my self-esteem is high or low. So in what kind
Yeah.
of behaviors it is seen, basically?
Okay. So let's talk about your example for now. Okay.
Yeah, sure.
So I think we are meeting for the first time. The viewers may not know this, but we are meeting for the first time. We've been talking and all. But the way you talk, the way you ask your questions with such confidence, the fact that you are comfortable being in such a public presence, you know, on such a public platform, that those are indications of high self-esteem. You have given those characteristics to yourself, like, I am confident of doing this, I am people will be interested in what I want to speak, so my words have some value to them, they have some worth to them, right?
Right.
And the fact that you have the confidence to conduct such interviews and, you know, take such work forward, that talks about your competence, right? So again, you think that you are competent enough to do this, that's why you're doing it.
Right.
So so that is high self-esteem. So high self-esteem is very easy to understand. Low self-esteem, Monali will talk about it.
Yeah, so low self-esteem is something where obviously this confidence is also low, and then you tend to believe that others are better than you. Like, regardless of how much ever information you know about something, you still think that the person in front of you could be better or would probably mostly be better. And so that is the kind of, you feel low about yourself in all possible aspects. You think that you are more weak, and you focus on your weakness mainly than your strengths. And that just spirals down to feeling a little ashamed or maybe depressed, or having that anxiety when you have to confront things. So that is another way. And then there is this intense fear of failure at the same time, because you are not confident about anything uh, in your career, or maybe in your life in general. And we cannot, like, the person who has low self-esteem tends to give constant negative feedback to themselves.
Right.
So even though whatever happens in their lives, it's like, okay, they'll attribute it to something else, but never to themselves. Like they did not deserve it, or they did not think that it is their work that has gotten that success, things like that.
Right.
Exactly. But the thing is that whatever Monali said, this is what a person is truly feeling, right? But it's not necessary that he's going to show that all the time. There are
That's
lots of
true.
farces also, like a mask.
Hmm.
Okay. So we need to remember that also, that even if a person is portraying a very confident, very cool, calm demeanor, there are chances that there's chaos going inside, right? So we can't take anything on face value. There are chances that a person needs these string of successes, and if that string breaks somewhere, if that streak breaks somewhere, then automatically he plummets down into low self-esteem,
Right. And
right?
I just want to
So
add here that since it started with my example, and to add to what Monali said, it is not that I don't doubt myself sometimes, or it is not that I don't feel that you both might be better than me. I'm feeling that, but then I think we don't stick to it, and we don't let it. Uh, what do you say?
affect,
Yeah,
Perfect.
we don't let it affect us. So
yeah,
I think we all have this fear of failure, and we all somewhere feel that, oh God, will I be able to do this? But then we have to
yes,
go past it and have that a bit of resilient thinking
yeah,
for ourselves.
yeah, yeah,
That,
yeah. That's true.
It's
Because the
about,
thing is, yeah. Sorry. Speak.
yeah, it's about how you perceive that knowledge. Like regardless of whatever is going on in front of you, how you look at it is what is the deciding factor over here, whether you want to get intimidated by it or try to grow,
right,
right? Yeah.
Exactly, exactly. And a degree of fear of failure is always good. This is my personal opinion,
right,
that if you are not afraid of failing at all, like not even a 0.1%, then that could easily go into narcissism, which is something that you want to avoid. So there needs to be that balance that needs to be struck, obviously.
I agree totally. So yes, um, so that's how we can understand whether a person has high self-esteem or not. We can never, uh, like as you said, don't judge from face value. We can never see a person and believe that, oh, he knows everything and he's so confident. It's not possible,
Mhm.
right? And
Yeah.
I think this is something, this topic particularly, self-esteem is
Yeah.
something not to actually talk about or discuss about with someone. It is a lot of self-reflection and self-talk involved when it comes to self-esteem. So, when it comes to self-esteem, the population that comes to my mind is teenagers and children. And what is the role of parents? Because I think it is childhood when we start establishing beliefs about ourselves, right?
Yeah.
So, and according to me, parents have a huge role to play in building a child's self-esteem. So, what do
Absolutely.
you have to say about that?
Absolutely. So, the parental role, like you said, super important, because the first people that you meet in terms of authority, in terms of seniority, in terms of, you know, being those aids to build who you are your parents, right? So, we can break this down. Like the role can be broken down into some factors. So, first comes support. Of course, parental support. Like tomorrow, if I want to change my stream, if I want to change my career, I feel like I am not, motivated enough to do this. Tomorrow, if I want to change it, then having that support is going to be the first step in me taking that, initiative to go and actually change my career.
Right.
If I don't have the support, then I am going to be discouraged before I even begin,
Hmm.
right? So that support is very important. Then there's warmth. Especially like the thing is, when we come to the Indian society, it goes two ways, right? warmth is shown because we are a collective society. We are very, tied to each other and everything. But at the same time, when it comes to, like, for example, fathers showing warmth to their sons, it's taboo. A man should not be that, soft. He should not be that sensitive. All these kinds of things also come into play. But then if both the parents are showing that kind of warmth, then we come into acceptance also. Because if you are showing, absolute unconditional love to your child, that child is going to be like, okay, whatever I do, they are going to have my back. They will not stop loving me because of that. So that's also something that boosts your self-esteem, right? Because it comes into worth again.
Okay.
How much your parents value you, all that stuff comes into it. Then there are expectations. Expectations are very important to handle correctly. They need to be realistic in nature. I am not saying, see, that's the thing, you have to strike a balance in this also. You can't not expect anything from your child, because then you're not setting some goals for him. And goals are very important to have a driven attitude, to be motivated. But if you are setting way too many expectations from him, that he needs to get 99% in the boards and this and that, then it becomes so overwhelming and so unrealistic. And then in that, comparisons also start. We've got that famous joke, Sharma ji ka beta. That joke starts then, right? And then in all of this, there needs to be consistency. You can't just be like, in one area of your child's life, expect absolutely realistic things, and in another, be completely unrealistic. There needs to be that consistency that needs to be maintained in all of your child's, areas of life. And in your parenting style also, your parenting style cannot change. One day you're absolutely strict and, authoritative, and the next day you're so, loose about rules. You're not even looking at what the child is doing. That doesn't make sense. No, that confuses the
child. Right.
Yeah, exactly.
So
these
I'll just
factors
sum
are
up
very
what you
important.
said. One is support, one is warmth, and one is expectations,
Expectations,
and one is
yes.
consistency. These four things are really important for parents to have at least an average self-esteem in a child.
Yes.
Because just giving an example here, if I am a small child going to school, and I am scared to ask my parents, I want to take part in something and I'm not good at it. For example, I'm not good at drawing, and I really want to do it because I love the colors, because every child is doing it. But if my parents doesn't support me, I will end up believing that I can never draw because one second.
Right.
Because my parents believe that I shouldn't take part because I don't draw well. And
Exactly.
I think what our parents think of ourselves, we eventually, it is not, nothing is said, but we eventually start generalizing it to and assuming that everyone else also thinks the same thing about me.
Right.
Exactly.
Yeah, this is where even the other factors, like along with parents, we live in a society. So when we are talking about self-esteem, there's one personal aspect and there's one aspect where the society plays a role. So another contributing factor over here is the culture that you are in. Sneha mentioned it in passing, the collectivistic society and the individualistic society, right? So our Asian culture is mainly collectivistic. So what happens over here is the self-esteem is not just an achievement of a personal goal. It's more of a family-oriented achievement. I will, like, my self-esteem would also grow if a family member has done something really good or something huge. So it becomes a contributing factor over here quite evidently. So it depends on what culture you belong to. And while we are talking about culture, then there is gender. So gender stereotyping has a major effect on self-esteem. Like there have been studies where adolescent girls tend to have lower self-esteem because they see their maybe physical characteristics more negatively, or their intellectual abilities more negatively or lower as compared to the men or the boys do.
Right.
And because of that, there is a tendency for girls around that age to have really so low self-esteem, and get a disorder, maybe like eating disorder, if they are extremely confronted with some body image issues, or at the same time might get totally depressed because of low academic evaluations and everything. So that is another factor, gender role, which also plays a huge role in the build of a
Self-esteem.
self-esteem.
In building self-esteem.
Right. Yeah.
Uh, and I am really happy with all the transformation around gender equality that is happening, which is giving
Yeah.
so much boost to girls. They're doing wonderful things. And
Yeah.
when we talk about culture, I think it is an endless topic.
Yes, that it
Absolutely.
is.
So yes, parents, culture, gender role, these are some really important influences on a person's self-esteem.
And now that I think of it, when we talk about gender role, again, with girls, there are hormonal changes that happen.
Right.
That is another contributing factor in self-esteem. There is a major study about the whole PMS and everything, where self-esteem is majorly affected during that time. So
Exactly.
I
that's
think
another
teenage
factor.
is such a beautiful period where everything
Yeah.
is so important.
It's a very critical period. It's like
Yeah.
make or break,
Yes,
basically.
yes, I agree.
Delicate at the same time.
Yes.
Yeah.
So, lastly, I really want to know from both of you. Suppose if I know now that my self-esteem is low, and I really want to do something about it, and I want to do something in life, but I'm just not able to. So, what is it that I need to do as an individual to boost my self-esteem? For like not
Right.
for like not for the time being for 5-10 minutes to feel good,
Yeah.
but to actually boost my self-esteem. What can I do?
Okay, so to begin with, let's divide the whole ways in which you can actually boost your self-esteem. One is you have to challenge that negative thoughts that you constantly get. In
Right.
psychology terms, it's called cognitive distortions that we have.
Hmm.
You really have to challenge that inner critique that you have, which is constantly judging you unfairly.
Right.
Okay, quite a lot of times, and quite harshly at that. So when your inner critique is being very harsh to you, that time you really have to rationalize it and tell yourself that uh, that's probably not true, or that's probably not the whole truth. So for example, if there is a presentation that people everybody has liked, but then you end up telling yourself, okay, it wasn't even good, there were so many mistakes, nobody noticed that, how is that even possible, and things like that. So you do not give yourself the credit that you've done something, but you have to criticize yourself. Then another thing is when you generalize it, you generalize something that has happened in one particular situation to all other situations. For example, suppose a person, like a child, scores badly in mathematics, the child will be like, I'm dumb. I don't deserve to, be in this grade. I am not smart enough, and things like that. So it's just that one particular subject that probably the child is not good in. But then
Exactly.
the child will tend to generalize it.
Right.
Yeah.
And then there's jumping to conclusions, which we all do a lot, right? Like, let's take the example of you walk into a place and you see someone that you know and you smile at that person doesn't smile back. Now, there could be 100 reasons why he didn't smile back. Maybe he's thinking of something. Maybe he didn't even notice you. Maybe it's a person like me who forgets their glasses, these kinds of things. Okay. So now immediately, if you are thinking that, oh, he didn't smile at me, so he must be mad at me, or he probably doesn't like me, you're jumping to illogical conclusions, right? Because there's no evidence behind it. So you need to challenge those also. You need to sort of curb how much you are jumping to conclusions. You have to dispute that, give yourself evidence, right? And then the next is that the same inner voice or the inner critique that Monali was talking about, that inner critique has a very bad tendency of making everything larger than it seems, in the sense, making a mountain out of a molehill. That kind of expression we can use over here. So for example, if you ask someone out and that person turns you down, right? Immediately the emotions that you are going to be associating with it is not just going to be of slight rejection, like, okay, theek hai, she rejected me, it's fine, no problem. But it'll be like, I am so embarrassed, I am so humiliated, she insulted me in front of every single person.
I'm
So
ugly.
what?
That's the first thing. I am not good enough,
Exactly,
etc., etc.
exactly, exactly. It,
Right.
you go to the other end, the extreme end of the spectrum, where you need to stop a little before,
Right.
right? So yeah, so you need to remember this, like that inner critique needs to be hushed at times. It needs to be controlled, it needs to be hushed, and it needs to be consoled also, I would say.
I think along
Yeah,
with quieting our inner critique, we should also parallelly give ourselves a little praise, like look at the mirror and say,
absolutely,
ah, you look so
absolutely,
good, etc., etc.
absolutely.
I do that
Yeah,
sometimes, and I think it really makes your day. You just
absolutely.
praise yourself. I mean, giving one small compliment to yourself also makes a
Yeah.
lot of difference.
Yeah, that's where you practice self-compassion, which is the next step. You need to practice self-compassion, and in that, obviously, positive affirmations, talking to yourself in a positive way,
Right.
making sure that you are your favorite person,
Right.
right?
Oh, it
And then
reminds me of Kareena Kapoor
yes,
from Jab
from
We
Jab We Met.
Met.
Yeah,
Favorite two guys.
yeah. Her
Uh,
self-esteem is quite high. Her
Yes.
self-esteem is quite high,
yes.
right?
This all
So
also doesn't mean that we have to be narcissists and like I am the best
yeah,
only.
yeah,
You are
yeah.
the best. Others might be really good, but you are also good enough. That's
You're the best for yourself. You're the
Exactly.
best for yourself.
exactly.
Yeah. And
And
at the same time, you
uh,
really have to. Yeah.
what? Sorry,
Yeah.
Monali.
At the same. Yeah. Yeah. I was saying that at the same time, you really have to give yourself a bit of uh, space, because you are feeling emotions, and after all, you're a human being. Things are going to happen, and you do not have to judge yourself all the time over it. You have to be very careful and very mindful of your emotions. I mean, you can't completely discredit what you're feeling, nor can you get totally entrapped by it. So you have to find a balanced way to look at it and to let it sink in, so that you can work with it better. So giving yourself that scope, a little bit of space, really helps. And you always have to consider that there are external factors. Like, you are living in a society, and as responsible as you are for whatever is going on, at the same time there are external factors which will definitely be contributing somewhere. So taking the whole thing onto yourself, instead of that, counting on everything else is around you, also plays a role here,
Right.
Yeah.
right? Yeah.
So
Yeah.
thanks
And
for.
yeah. And then, of course, like, self-esteem, to boost a fail self-esteem, taking help, like talking to your friends, feeling good about yourself. Nobody will make you feel better. Like, yeah. Another thing that we should always consider is getting help from people that we love. For example, talking to your friend, telling how you're feeling, or asking them what they think about you, and how, and just hearing that somebody loves you also makes you feel better, and also helps you build up on your self-esteem quite frequently. It's difficult for people with low self-esteem to actually ask for help, because they think they don't deserve it. But that is something that a person with self-esteem should push to get that help.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And then when we talk about people, we're going to talk about, I mean, getting help from your family, from your friends and everything, your teachers and all is very important. But there's only a limit to which they can help, right? Because they are not trained professionals. Now, if a problem is going completely out of hand, what happens is that the process of finding a solution can get hampered if you go to a family member or a friend, because they bring with them their own biases towards you, right? They have a personal tie to you. But then if you go to a professional, you go to a mental health professional, that's when you are going to start actually getting the true help that you need. Because mental health professionals, like, we are all trained in basically different techniques, different therapies that are going to boost someone's mental health in general. That's why it's very important to reach out in that way also. um, I mean, friends and family, of course, their support means everything. But please consider the idea of going to a mental health professional, because that will guarantee you the help that you absolutely need. You know.
Exactly.
So it is like we don't go to a mental health professional only when something is actually wrong with me,
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
or when I'm feeling when I'm having suicidal thoughts. That's
Yeah.
not the only time you go to a therapist. You might be
Yeah.
feeling great, you might be doing amazing at work, your relationship is going well, each area of your life is well, but there are times that you feel not good about yourself, and it's okay to talk
Absolutely.
to someone. And I think what we did initially, breaking down for somebody,
Yes.
friends and family
Yeah.
might not have that technique as you said. We might just
Yeah.
break it down for them. That's it.
Exactly.
Right.
Right.
Exactly.
Right.
We hold an objective view, whereas their view is more subjective in nature.
Exactly.
Exactly.
So there is so I think it's high time that we now break the taboo of going to therapists. And I
Yeah.
think since both of you have started this initiative, I would like to take this opportunity to tell our viewers that please visit the Psychology Nook website. They have some amazing blogs written, and even their Instagram page. Please visit. And if you have, if you have anything to talk about, if you have any queries regarding self-esteem or mental health or anything related to mental health, you can contact them or me. I will help you be in touch with them, however it works. But please talk about it whenever you feel like talking.
Definitely.
Definitely.
So
Yep.
Yeah.
thank you so much, Sneha and Manali. I'm really, really happy to have you, and I hope we can do this again. Uh,
Absolutely.
Thank you for being with me.
Thank you for having
Thank
us.
you.
Thank you.